All right, so I'm not going to be adjusting the volume. I assume you guys can hear me because I've never had audio problems with these reviews or vlogs. So I really can't seem to escape the 80s the past week. I did a review last week of Over the Top from 87. My cover that I posted yesterday was from the same year, and now I'm reviewing an album that came out in 88. Okay, I guess I did have that one burp. Um, eh. Anyhow, um, so as you can tell from this video, I'm reviewing a probably long forgotten Kenny Loggins album called Back to Avalon, which, having looked into it just to do some more background research so I have some fresh ideas to talk about for the review, I've seen some people praise this album and I've seen some people bash it. Um, this was the album that was Kenny's first record to not get certified gold or higher from the RIAA. And considering the decade started off with him doing movie soundtracks that got him a lot of acclaim, High Adventure was a hit, Footloose was a huge smash, Vox Humana, which was his fifth studio album that came out in 1985, was certified gold. So at this point, Kenny was kind of starting to lose his momentum. And before I go into too much about what I think of this album, I just want to give like a brief history overview of Kenny Loggins' career up to this point. Right out of high school, he tried to join a variety of different bands. He didn't really find his unique sound until 1970 when he got paired with Jim Messina, who had done work with 60s bands Poco and Buffalo Springfield, which both had nasty breakups. During the 70s, Loggins and Messina would become one of the best known duets of the 70s, only with Hall & Oates passing them later in the decade. And at first, Messina just wanted to guest star in Loggins' debut album to try and help promote the music more. But they did so much work together in the harmonies, the songwriting, the instrumentals that they accidentally became a duo. And the president of CBS Records at the time ultimately convinced Messina and Loggins to join forces. But later on, during the Loggins and Messina era, they started to be more competitive. They weren't really teammates, they were more arch rivals trying to one up the other. So in 1976, they both departed ways on friendly terms before their relationship soured completely. And Kenny's first three solo albums were certified platinum. He had a hit live album that came out in 1980. He did a bunch of movie soundtracks in the 80s, and I would argue that doing the movie soundtracks are kind of what derailed his career, but that's probably a vlog for another day. Um, so once we got back to Avalon, I think at this point, I think after the success of Footloose and Heaven Helps the Man, I think Kenny really got drunk off the idea of the 80s aesthetic and the synth pop guitar, synth pop keyboards. And that's through a lot of Back to Avalon. Now, just to be clear, I do think this is actually an okay piece of work. The problem is the majority of the songs on here feel like filler. They don't really feel like a song that Kenny had full confidence in. It just looked like something he was working on and he thought was, hey, throw it on here. Um One review on iTunes, I can't remember the name, said that this album sounds like cookie cutter trash and all the songs sound like something you'd hear from a bad 80s movie. Some of the tunes I can definitely see where that argument is coming from. One Woman and I'm Gonna Miss You, they're not that great. A lot of the music on here, like I said, it sounds like stuff that an artist would record and then toss in the corner and try to come up with something else. It seemed like Kenny was trying too hard to be a product of the time without really working that hard to give it an extra punch. Now there are some songs on this album that are definitely legitimately good. This album also had several hit singles, so it wasn't a total waste. I think the two best known songs on there are probably Meet Me Halfway, which was already a top 40 radio hit from Over the Top the previous year, which I already reviewed. And then Nobody's Fool, which was a hit song from Caddyshack 2, which fuck that movie. Okay, that's again, I'll probably talk about that piece of shit during the summer, but oh Jesus. Anyway, see, this is why when Kappa came into play, I certified my channel as something for an older audience. That way I can get away with swearing, God damn it. Anyway, um, so anyway, to get back to this album review, uh, so it is kind of funny that two of the hit songs on here were from all bad '80s movies. Um, but I think the best song on this album, aside from those two, my I think the other songs that I like are "She's Dangerous" and "Back to Avalon" because that title track is a perfect piece of late '80s, early '90s esque pop ballad. It's really Back to Avalon, the title track. It seems like Kenny was going for like a mythical romantic fairy tale, and it was really beautiful. And Avalon is paradise. It is what it stands for. So it is kind of a really sweet, just I don't know. I just think it's something really elegant, smooth, and just full of pure soul. It's a very it's one of the most beautiful pieces of music I've ever heard in my life. Another song on there that I really do enjoy is "She's Dangerous." And considering I started listening to this music when I knew a girl that was dangerous when I was in high school, it worked. I mean, I still like the '80s aesthetic. I do like the synth pop rock sort of instrumentalism in the album, but I can see why it was a turnoff because by this point, people were just sick of it. You know, they again like with Over the Top last week. People were so used to seeing this, they were looking for something new or something that had more of an edge to it. And it seemed like Kenny was just creating something generic. He wasn't really trying that hard. Um, and after this album, Kenny would get divorced from his first wife, Eva In, and then he would return to form with Leap of Faith, which was it's kind of like Back to Avalon 2.0 with more of the songwriting charm that was present in Kenny's earlier work. And it was also more personal. It had more heart to it, and it had more charisma and charm. This one, on the other hand, has some of it, but I don't know. It's not that great of an album, but it's really hard for me to hate on it because I'm a huge Kenny Loggins fan. Um, so overall, I think it's an album you should definitely check out, regardless of what you think of it in the end. And whether you're a diehard Kenny Loggins fan or just the casual listener, you should definitely give it a try. I'm sure you'll find some charm and find some good stuff in this album that apparently was the sign of Kenny's commercial decline. Um, yeah, overall, that's all I really have to say. I would, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give this album like a 6.9 because I could see great ideas in there. Just the execution was a little uninspired. So that's all I gotta say for this. I don't really have a cover plan for next week because I already did all the songs I wanted to do for this month yesterday. So I'm probably gonna just do a couple of vlogs next week, and I'll keep you guys posted on that on Twitter. Take care.